spawning the upper right in the winner's match. In the red, he's playing Vanguard and playing it very, very well. It's Albino. And the bottom left in the blue. At times, the man who has been the best Infernal versus Vanguard player in the world. Certainly very up there, even if that's not exactly where he is at the moment. He's still very, very good. It's Snoxtar. And as I said before, I am very excited for this series. I think this is going to be pretty cool. We saw Albino and Theory play an awesome game on Isledge Red. That was the fourth map of their series that Albino did win 3-1. Awesome game on Isledge Red. Very, very cool. And I can only think that we're going to see something similar here coming out of Snoxtar and Albino. So for now, it's going to be a Vault opening, Vault expand coming out of Snoxtar. And I really do like these Vault openings. Obviously, you know, there are other ways you can play it, but I talk about this a lot, but I'm going to talk about it again. I really do like Vault openings, because what that means is you don't have to mine Therium. It massively, and you can still creep just fine. It massively accelerates your economy, because instead of pulling, you know, 2 imps onto Therium and not mining Luminite with those, instead you're just mining Luminite continuously. And that, again, that makes a massive difference. It means you get more imps on your natural. It means you get more imps on your economy scales in a way that it just does not if you're going Conclave Expand. You just cannot if you're going Conclave Expand. Now, of course, the question, as always, is how this is going to work, of how this works with, well, 1 Vault versus 2 Vault, right? And this is a single Vault opening. This is Vault Shrine Conclave. So Shrine first is, you know, maybe theoretically even a little bit more economical, but you do, of course, have to go and run in this situation where then you have no defense. Your creeping is very much delayed, and that's not really going to work out. So for now, it's going to be Vault Shrine Conclave. We're going to see, of course, Therium being mined now because, well, Snoxtar was able to go and they can optimize that Luminite early. He even did the trick where you get yourself up to 12 workers, you pull 4 off to Therium, and then you pull 2 back. And I wish that wasn't a trick that was necessary. It just kind of feels like there are some cool micro tricks, engine quirks that are useful. I don't know that I like this one. It just kind of feels like busy work. It's like, well, you know what? Okay, well, also means you can't use quick macro panel because it's gonna, until you have a natural, because then it means you're just that setting where you go and you kind of optimize so all the imps are mining at the right angle. If you use quick macro panel, that's gonna get messed up too. So it's annoying. It's, yeah, probably needs to get, hopefully they'll fix that at some point. So mining is, and they're just gonna have to fix that by fixing how the Luminite mine works. But also, if you take a look at it, the Luminite mine, I think Monk has said that the Luminite mine is not how it's, like, mining is gonna get revamped at some point. This is just version 1 to make things happen while they develop the rest. And I think they have plans to make mining a little bit more interesting, or the asset at the very least be a little bit more interesting. And then, you know, hopefully we're gonna, that bug, for lack of a better term, because it is a bug. I think it's a bug. Hopefully that'll get fixed. Saying Brute Split Micro is just busy work. No, it's not. Brute Split Micro. See, Brute Split Micro is something I actually do like. You don't really need to do it in the late game as much. You can and find a little bit more value, but in early game, the difference between having Fiends with white health and Fiends without white health is pretty significant. It is something that I do like. It's like Ravager Micro with, as I looked like one of those skulls really didn't make contact. But yeah, this pressure, I don't know how much it's gonna get done. Yes, you're in a healing area, but oh no, there's the bug. There's a bug with Skullashetta where if you move it, sometimes it like runs back to the Hexen and explodes, and that's not great. At the end of the day, I think these still die. Yeah, they're still gonna fall down. Most of the Lancers will fall, but you don't have an extra Fiend. At the end of the world, but it is annoying. And again, Brute Split Micro is kind of like Ravager Morph Micro, where it gives you this opportunity to get more value out of your units, and I like it. I think it's more than just busy work. Doing this thing with your workers, so you gotta pull 2 in, pull 2 out, and just shake it all about. That is just busy work. That is unnecessary. I'm not as big of a fan of that one. But Brute Split Micro, fantastic. And yeah, but not everything Has to be flashy for Grimmy's saying, well, it's not super flashy for casting though. Sure, but you know, Roach Ravager Morph Micro, it doesn't tend to be all that flashy for casting either. You know, we talk about it sometimes if it's really relevant, but generally it's like, okay, they're finding a little bit more value. Not everything has to be something that I have to get excited about as a caster to make happen. It's really like, it's satisfying as a player as well. You're like, look, I won that fight because I split my brews properly, and that meant that it's this random Hellborn. Snoxtar getting Hellborn. Hellborn are generally seen as something that you do not get in the mid game because it just is kind of a waste. They don't really feel useful before Molten Touch. They're very Therium expensive, right on 250 Luminite or 250 Therium a pop. But Snoxtar adding them in, they do 50 damage, so they actually they can chunk Lancers in some extent. But now, well, Gaunts are gonna have to run away. Do they have Plague Axes? They do. They do not have Reaper Rush. And with this, God, oh man, Kinetic Redirect is so strong. Just moving. They're not taking damage, and they're just going so fast. But yeah, no, these Hellborn are interesting. I don't know. So it's 2 Hellborn right now. That's 100 damage on a burst. It doesn't one-shot anything. 100 damage is nothing to really be too concerned about, but this also means these are not Weavers, which can tank up against a lot of the Vanguard army very well. These are not more Brutes. These are, I mean, Magmadons are kind of a bait, but if you're just Lancer, which is where we are right now, there are a couple Exos, but they don't have upgrades. Not super incredible. For now, though, we're going to see the fight kick off. Ideally, the Hellborn are targeting down these Exos, because yes, they don't do bonus damage, but 3 Hellborn, 1 shot an Exo. 2 Hellborn get most of the way there, and that's kind of where you want the splash damage to work anyways. For now, though, Lancers are going to run forward. They're going to dodge the Nightfall, but these 2 Hellborn on this timing are doing a great job. They bust down the static defense, and even this Hornet is not the best thing because there are a bunch of Gaunts on the field. So we will see that one effigy. I think you should have put it a little bit farther back. It gets targeted down, which is unfortunate. But these Hellborn are doing a very nice job of getting this down as much as they can. A little bit more damage on top. The Buzzsaw Cannon's doing so much, though. It is doing so very much. And this effigy, I don't know how long this thing is going to last. Ideally, you get a second one up. Ideally, you last, what is it, 20 seconds? So you can get a second effigy up, and then, well... And then it really is untouchable. As it stands, double Hornet here versus like a single Gaunt, even with Plague Axes. I mean, it doesn't really matter. So this is absolutely a fight where Snoxtar had a shot. He had an opportunity, but he's going to have to back up for a second. He wasted so much time, so much damage on the Buzzsaw Cannon that didn't quite go down. That was repaired on the way out. And now, well, we are looking at, I want to say single Conclave? Yeah, it looks like single Conclave. Yeah, only single Conclave. So the Gaunt numbers are not high enough, and that means the Hornets... Well, they're going to have to... They're winning this fight by themselves ever so slowly. The damage is just very, very nice. And I think we saw a bunch of Gaunts get made. I think we saw... Yeah, we got a resurgence of Gaunts out. So that does make life a little bit more easy, a little bit less complicated. And it does seem like we had some Shadow Flyers when we weren't taking advantage of this fight as well. So that's going to work out fairly nicely. Now, again, you do want there to be... excuse me. There needs to be Shroud here. Dropping an effigy is the big deal because it means everything gets infested versus just not getting infested, which means these, there we go, Hornets are going to fall down. And these Hellborn, they are not normally tanky, right? A bunch of units get on top of them, a bunch of Exos get on top of them, they get targeted down. However, against a bunch of Lancers doing 10 damage a shot, they will last quite a while. They're going to be okay. So these 2 Hellborn, this 3 base, actually really 4 base setup from Snoxtar right now. This committed pressure with just a couple Hellborn to knock down the static defense, to splash things down as well as possible. It's working out pretty nicely here. And we have Reaper Rush done now, so these the Gaunts can micro a little bit more. Do we have... Yep, there we go. Elder Shrine on the way as well. So we're going to get a Dragon, or at the very least just getting that Shroud upgrade. All these things are very useful, but I love what Albino's done here. Or he has gone. And he said, okay, well, you know what? You're trying to chip away at me. That is the goal of this push. You're trying to ever so slowly chip away at me. So I'm just going to build a med station. And all my units are going to regenerate 8 HP per second out of combat. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be awesome. So that really does actually slow down this push quite a bit. Because, again, just healing actively is nice. But also, or healing in fight for 4 HP per second is awesome. That's like... 4 healing for like that's like 4 that's like 8 having 8 healing camps or just sitting in the healing camp by itself. Very, very good. But even still, you know, that ability to kind of get your HP back up off out of combat as well is awesome. So Albino's got himself up to tier 3. He does have these Graven. Now there are detectors. Shadow Flyers are detectors on top of everything else. So the cloaking isn't doing a ton. And we are going to be looking at Molten Touch soon. It's not here just yet. This is going to turn into a flat cannon. It's not going to be passive healing. Instead, it is just going to be ideally a lot of long-range damage getting added in. But look at this. We have the Sticky Bomb applied friendly fire. Snoxtar doing a great job of running these Sticky Bombed Gaunts forward. Yes, they took damage, but they Sticky Bombed the Lancers as well. It means they're slow. It means they're attacking slower. It means they're just not doing what they need to do. And Albino, this double Hellborn timing, which I don't know that I've seen before, works out very nicely on Secluded Grove, and game 1 goes the way of Snoxtar. So game 1, we saw a pretty cool, really cool Hellborn timing. MS Storm saying, I thought the Hellborn was super loud, but the Hornet takes the cake. Yeah, well, you know. Game 1 was pretty cool. We saw this Hellborn timing that worked out very, very nicely for Snoxtar. Is able to kind of push the third base down, trade well enough that eventually gets into high tech, gets into tier 3. The Gravens don't do enough, and the push works. I think this might have been one of those games where getting a Helicarrier out was more important than getting Graven out. I think. Just because it means you have access to the Hellborn. You can get on top of the Hellborn a little bit easier with the army that was made. So, maybe... Suki Radio saying, at first I couldn't stand sticky bombs, but I love the micro opportunities they make for both players. I think sticky bombs do maybe a little too much because they reduce production time, they slow down production, they slow down attack speed and move speed, and they do damage. Like, I feel like that is too many things on one ability. It's like blinding saliva with Spriggans, but also it is a big burst of damage as well. I don't know. But yeah, I think it is kind of the really cool thing is it does friendly fire, but also, so the micro interaction that we sometimes see, right? So a Gaunt goes or a Fiend goes, something gets sticky bombed, and the Infernal player or whoever's playing against the Graven wants to go and wants to run that unit into the Vanguard because sticky bombed is friendly fire, and then it is incumbent on the Vanguard player to target down the unit that they've already sticky bombed, because if the unit dies while under the effect of sticky bomb, the sticky bomb does not go off. So it's this very cool two-sided micro engagement. And yeah, I'm kind of a Kenny SP33 saying hot take, sticky bombs should do minimal damage. Its main feature should be AoE. That's kind of how I feel. Like, it's a really cool debuff. I don't know that it should do this burst damage as well. I'm not convinced. I mean, we're still very early on into this. There was a week where Graven were super OP, and now they're, relatively reasonable. They've been figured out a little bit more. So I don't know, and I think the meta will continue to develop. But from like a conceptual perspective, I wrote this whole article on Stormgate Nexus about 2 years ago at this point, a year and a half ago, about keystone units and kind of these unit archetypes where you have like defensive units, aggressive units, and then support units. Where aggressive units, they do a lot of damage, but maybe they're a little squishier. Defensive units are a little bit or tankier. They're very good like on high ground, or they're very good when buffed up by something, so they're very good at defending or holding a position. And then you have specialty units, support units, spellcasters generally, or things that have auras that buff things up or whatever it is. The scout, for example, would be a support unit because it gives you a lot more vision, something like that. A Hexen is a support unit. And I made the argument, which I do think is the correct argument, that units at most can have 2 of those characteristics. Ideally only 1, but at most 2. So the problem with the Queen in StarCraft 2, for example, is that they have all 3. They have support powers because they have they're important for macro, but also they have transfuse, which heals things up. They are really good defensive units because they're long range anti-air, how fast they're on creep. And when I wrote the article, we were in the era of the Queen Walk, so they're like really good aggressive options too. And because of that, those are they're keystone, they're linchpin units. They're units that define the entire game state as long as they exist. And that turns them into these crutches, which I don't think is super healthy for a game. I think you should be able to go and it also means they're really hard to counter. It's like, well, okay, they do everything. So I am very much of the opinion that, something doing everything is not the best for game design. We should see these kind of complex armies of overlapping capabilities. Which is why, I like Gaunts are great units because they're very aggressive. They have, minor support characteristics with Infest, but they die so fast. They are not defensive units whatsoever. Or, why I think Weavers are a problem, because they are so tanky and their Lash does stun and damage and everything. Like, the Lash probably shouldn't do as much damage as it does and stun and abduct. Like, it should maybe stun and abduct, but not do the damage it does, for example. It does too much. And when units do too much, it's a nice move there. Really on both sides, killing off some Gaunts, but also knocking down some of these Lancers, but most of them get out. When a unit does too many things, it becomes overpowered. That's what a Weaver is. It is way too tanky. It is a little slow, but that's fine for the most part. But the Lash is way too strong, and with auto cast as well, it's even stronger. So that is a little bit, again, we're getting off base here because Snoxtar's about data push in game number 2. He's got a Magmadon, got a couple brutes, he's got these Gaunts, and these mobs just have to run away. This is not a fight that Albino really wants to take right now. He does not have good answers to the Magmadons. He does not have good answers to the brutes. These are just Lancers, and Lancers, well, they are heavy units. Magmadons do bonus damage to heavy. So for now, we will see these mobs. They are still overcharged. They're going to try to get away. And Lancers just trying to buy space, trying to dodge the Nightfall as much as they can, but the Bobs do not manage to make that happen. Now, though, we do have Exos on the field. And once Exos join the fray, this is a much better position to find yourself into. Exos actually fight Brute Magmadon pretty well. I definitely agree. Grimmy says Stormgate went with this 3 to 4 use unit style. Maybe in the future that new units will take from current units and fill their function instead. Yeah, Gerald on Reddit has said, well, okay, we're gonna go and like there are outside. We're not only missing tier 3 units, we're missing some lower tier stuff as well. And again, I don't have issues with Lancers. Lancers are they counter light units fairly well. They get on top of Gaunts, they kill them off. But in general, they're kind of this beefy front line. That's their job. And Exos are less beefy, but they're like Lancers are defensive units, Exos are aggressive units. But it's like these higher tier units that feels like they just do a little bit too much right now. That being said, the fight kicks off in earnest here. Magmadon stomps forward. A bonus damage to the heavy, tries to get on top of all of these Exos on the back line. But now Quick Draw hustles here. And that means that, well, this army is not going to work out all that well. Lancers are starting to fall, though. That is a bit of a problem. And with the bonus damage to light that the Gaunts do now, they actually shred these Exos a little bit better. But the Lancers, we talked about how tanky they are. Some of them got promoted. They're going to be fine. Snoxtar, this push does not work. And Albino's going to tie the series up. It's 1 apiece. Nice kiting there. The push does not work. So now we move into game number 3. Titans, we saw Snoxtar try to hit this timing where it was Magmadons and Brutes and Gaunts a little bit. And, well, that didn't work out all that well for him. The Exos got out in time. Quick Draw Hustle was there. The single Magmadon did not get enough damage done. That means Albino was able to go on the Rejoinder, go and fight back. And the Lancers, I thought the Lancers were going to die. I thought the Lancers were really dead. That was a big boom of thunder. I thought the Lancers were really dead. And instead, nope, they survived. They were able to get on top of the Gaunt pack line. And if Lancers get on top of the Gaunts before Gaunts can kill the Exos, is done. He's gone. Dude 215p says, Beo, you are so cute. Philip, you are so cute. I try. My girlfriend agrees. Anyways. You're making me blush, chat. You're making me bluff. Fliphead says, one thing that we don't have in Stormgate is unit morphing. And I would disagree, actually, because I would argue that brutes splitting into fiends would be unit morphing. Unless you're saying it's like, okay, more like unit evolution. So one unit turns into like a higher tier unit, but you're still kind of 1-to-1. Sure. I'm willing to, but I'd be willing to say like, yeah, brute splitting into fiends is yeah, okay, evolving upwards instead of downward. Yeah, that's fine. But I think that's kind of playing semantics, because I would argue that brutes into fiends is unit morphing, and that is a unit turning into something else. But yeah, if you're saying you're going upwards in the tech tree, upwards in power, sure. As Grimmy says, yeah, 2 brutes morphing into Smudge next patch. Yes. I hope eventually we get sprays that you can use on the map. Like, Dota has it, StarCraft has it, a lot of games have it. Counter-Strike has it. And if so, I hope we get a Smudge spray. I would love a Smudge spray. That'd be great. And then hopefully they pay what's his name? The painter, the guy that came up with it. Hopefully he gets a little bit of royalty from that. But I would love a Smudge spray. 10 out of 10. As for now, a couple Lancers they're going to run across. They are a little bit anti-armored for the time being, but that's going to be fine. By the way, I want to say this the Infest picture or the Infest effect. I want to say it's gotten a little prettier. I think a lot of these effects, I think a lot of the effects have gotten a good deal prettier. Yes, thank you. It was pointy. Hopefully he gets a little bit of cut if they make a Smudge spray that people can buy. For now, though. 2 bases done for Snoxtar. 3rd base on the way. Not mining out of his natural, though. Again, it feels weird. And this is why I was actually behind, as an Infernal player, was behind the meta just a little bit. Because it feels really weird to go take your 3rd base before your natural's really even saturated. It feels weird. It just feels really, really weird. So that is absolutely what you want to do on this map. You want to get your 3rd base done by right around 4 minutes or so, which is exactly where Snoxtar is going to be. And eventually you're going to get your imps up, and building 3 imps at a time instead of 2 is very, very nice. These brutes on the counterattack, well, they do a lot of burst, right? They do 30 damage a hit. But Mass Repair says, not really. You're going to be fine. So this is 2 base Hangar Bay coming out of Albino in our 3rd game. We saw this pretty effectively against Theory in game number 2. And yes, Cabana just says you can saturate at a much faster rate. Yeah, absolutely. You can build 3 imps at a time instead of 2. It's very much mortgaging your present for your future. It makes sense, but I'm a Zerg player, right? And I mean, I guess even as a Zerg, right? You go and you take your 3rd at like 32 supply, which is not full 2 base saturation, but it feels weird to go take your 3rd base when you have nothing mining at your natural. So that always slowed me down a little bit. Anyways, neither here nor there, because this is where we're going. Ritual Chamber's on the way. We're getting ourselves set up into that mid-game. Greater Shrine is done. And we're going to have to see what it is that Snoxtar is deciding to play in this game number 3. For right now, again, he has been very eco-focused. We have not seen that many units get made outside of the couple brutes. We have not seen that many production structures get made. It does mean that as these Lancers are going to show up, that is a bit of a problem. Luckily, Shroudstead Manifestation is a thing, and even if Lancers do 25 damage to structures, or excuse me, 15 damage to structures, there is too much stuff here. You're not going to be able to take it down. So Nightfall is, or excuse me, Shroudstone is forced. That is a lot of Animus here, and it looks like the Lancers may be even able to go, and nah, the Hexen's going to stay alive. Lancers have to return home. Brutes, one of the big changes that was made in 0.1, I think. One of the big changes in 0.1 was that the speed buff does not last as nearly as long as it used to. So it's good for one fight, but it does not just stick to you for forever in a day. And I think that is I'm a big fan of that. That was very much a good decision, because it used to be just, oh, speed camp, I'm going to dominate the map, good luck. Especially on like Lost Hope. And that's not fun. Not a fan of that one. So instead, do this. Hornet goes and kills off a Gaunt. That's always going to be pretty nice. We got more Hornets getting added in. And Snoxtar, well, he's got a lot of brutes, got a lot of Gaunts. And they're going to be able to fight on the ground, sure. But these Hornets, where do they want to go? And we're going to see for now, Lancers are going to try to get on top. They do not have kinetic redirection. So they're not all that fast. They're not really able to do what they would like to do against these Gaunts nearly to the same level. But yeah, the Hornets on top, and bye-bye, army. It's gone. The Hexens are going to fall down. The Gaunts are going to say sayonara. They're gonna feel the long sleep as well, and this is a beautiful catch for Albino. I don't think he got any of the Shadow Demons. I don't think he got the creeps, but he will get the position, and he has killed off a lot of Snoxtar's army in this setup, which is, again, that's valuable. I love we see Viper, like, the moment something goes bad for one player, he's like, good game, the game's over. And it's like, well, yeah, maybe. But I don't know that these trades, like losing one fight, you can see the supply is like 58 to 61. The economy is pretty similar. Now, yes, these Hornets are being annoying, and yes, they're going to have to return to hangar. Yes, this one should have died, but doesn't really have a, wasn't really infested, so that's a problem. But yeah, Viper, literally every time something goes wrong, is like, the game's over, GG. Okay. I have seen too many comebacks from these situations, or I am not willing to say the game is over. The game will. Flupet, you are absolutely correct. I am going to be the first to say I'm wrong here. You are absolutely correct. The game will end at some point. So Viper 188 is 100% correct. He is Nostradamus. The game will end at some point. 100%. He has solved everything. For now, though, we got again, Snoxtar's on 3 bases. He would like to get a 4th base at some point. We're sitting in this situation where the Vanguard has 3, and Vanguard units do tend to trade a little bit better than the Infernals. So, ooh, this is a problem. Yes, this is not a heavy. This is a heavy unit. This is bonus damage versus light, but Hellborn are expensive. And even with the attempted save on the effigy, that is 250 therium down the drain, because I don't even know. He should have rallied through the left side. I'm not sure why it didn't. It's unfortunate. Maybe we couldn't fit through there. I don't know. But for now, we do have 1 Hellborn. We do have only a Greater Shrine. No Twilight Spire just yet. So no Elder Shrine on the map. But this is still a pretty powerful army. And, well, it's only... Yeah, we got High Command, but it's not done just yet. And this is absolutely an army that Snoxtar can look to push through. He would love to have that second Hellborn. That second Hellborn would make such a big difference. But as it stands, gonna have to back up for the time being. I think this effigy will probably fall down. Second Hellborn's here now. Again, you'd love to have a third. 3 Hellborn, 1-shot Exos. It's pretty dang important. So for now, that effigy goes down. That's fine. We do see Albino defending pretty heavily on the natural. But yeah, I think we're just gonna see rotation over. So speed camp gets taken, and this is actually a beautiful position. The chokes are here. The chokes are very valid, and we're gonna see a great big Nightfall go down on top of a lot of this army. Yes, there are these Hornets trying to take down the extra base. I think Gaunts are going to handle that. Meanwhile, attacking the front here, the Buzzsaw Cannon's a problem. And we are having to see, of course, you have to kite backwards against this. You cannot let the Lancers get on top of your army. But now most of the Lancers are dead. Most of the Lancers are dead. We have Reaper Rush here. The Gaunts are going to try to get on top of these Exos. And if they can, the Exos just melt. They absolutely just melt. Hornet on the backside just starts. No, absolutely not. That's not what you want. And look at this. Snoxtar, again, he has not broken the position. Not just yet. But he was able to defend against these Hornets. That, again, oh, there we go. That's a dead Hornet as well. Tagged it with the Infest at the end. No, okay, never mind. It's going to be able to repair it. It got back to return to hangar in time. But Snoxtar's now got his 4th base up. Again, I think you kind of want to take bottom left because of the Therium there. We have to see some Shroud get dropped. Otherwise, this is just not a good fight. That's not a great effigy position. I mean, I guess maybe it is. I guess it's actually going to be okay for the time being. But Snoxtar has to run away with this. Taking that fight without Shroud is just not what you want to do. But now we got Shroudstone manifested on the front line here. Do we have Elder Shrine? No Elder Shrine just yet. Snoxtar is very heavy on Luminite. He's got 4 Luminite bases, only 3 Therium patches. You do eventually want to expand bottom side. So, Snoxtar has to back up a little bit. And again, I think the Elder Shrine is the most important here. Also, this shrine is very, very low. So that's a problem later on. Elder Shrine now about halfway done. Oh, interesting. So Floop's saying, if I'm actually in Snoxtar's position here, I'm going to go expand top. I'm going to split this vertically rather than splitting kind of horizontally like the map tends to split. And you know, I don't hate that, right? You do have this situation. By the way, this Shroud Stone that was manifested is now a Wraith Stone. The Wraith Stones, by the way, again, we can see this the pulsing damage at it. Again, small things, but it looks good. Yeah, I think so. So the trick is getting Shroud up onto the high ground, because you have to hold this high ground. If you cannot hold the high ground, the base does not do what it needs to do. So We do see Snoxtar going and doing what they can. Also, Sanu was saying, I'm liking this new light blue color on the mini map. Easier to see and different from the water's blue. Yeah, the water blue versus the blue color was a problem. I have this set on... I have this set on cool blue versus warm. So I want to say this is the cool blue for now. Stratiflyers are going to move in. Some connections are made. A little bit of anti-armor right there. But man, oh my goodness. This is why this army composition in the late game can be a problem. The sticky bombs just on top of everything. And by the way, this is a lot of Hellborn. This is so many Hellborn, but there's no anti-air. This single helicarrier can win the fight and just gets on top of all these Hellborn. They do have to run away. They are not good until if there's units on top of them. Now, pulling back into the Shroud Stone though, into the Wraith Stone is very nice. And we are waiting for that Molten Touch. It's not here just yet. Is it in? Molten Touch done in just a second. That's actually going to be a pretty big deal. And we're going to have more Shadow Flyers with speed. A little bit harder to deal with. Just bombing on top. That's a lot of minus armor. That's going to be a dead helicarrier. And now, again, Molten Touch on top of these. What are we on? 7 Hellborn. That is a lot of Hellborn in this setup. That can absolutely burst through this army. And again, you want to see a second effigy go down. 200 HP is a much bigger deal to take down. Bombing run is going to get dodged for the most part as well. And now there just has to be some answer to this helicarrier sitting on top of all of these Hellborn. Without Shadow Flyers, it can be very, very tanky, and there's going to be a second one arriving as well, so the Gaunts don't kill it all that easily. But they're beating everything up on the ground. These Hellborn are beating down everything on the ground, and you just need a couple more Shadow Flyers from Snoxtar, just maybe. But we are seeing the issue with how he chose to expand. He does not have a lot of Therium. Now, he's got a little bit more, but we're not seeing that great big Shadow Flyer ball that you can maybe build if he'd taken the bottom right. Again, gotten that double Therium setup. As it stands, though, the rest of this is getting taken down the bombing run. Yes, it will kill a Hellborn, sure. But this position is looking more and more precarious for Albino as the game goes on. The supply is one thing, absolutely. But if he loses this base, that is going to be very scary. Although, even as I say that, we're looking at 3 helicarriers, and the anti-air is just not there. This is not an army that Snoxtar can run away with. These 7 Hellborn, 8 Hellborn is 2,000 Therium. And they're not able to run away. So, Snoxtar almost broke it. This is still a Vanguard on 3 bases versus an Infernal that's on 5. That was still a very, very expensive. Bombing run is not really going to land. That's fine. But Snoxtar needs to buy some time. I think the lack of a dragon, which he definitely has the Animus for right now, doesn't quite have the money for it. The lack of a flayed dragon, I think, was really the big deal right there. Because we saw so much stuff going down. You have more Infest on top. That's super useful. And then 90 damage to take down these 600 HP helicarriers, or even more if you make that happen, is a big deal. Now, adding a bunch of Spriggans is a good move because all the Exos went down. So these helicarriers are going to try to return to hangar back home, but they do not move particularly fast. That is very, very evident. So we're going to see a bubble on the low one. We're going to see these Gravens get targeted down. They do 25 damage to light, but they do not attack fast once they're slowed down like this. So they're going to be forced out, and, well, we're going to see these command posts start to go down. Now, Spriggans don't kill Exos, like, at all. But the Gaunts do, and that's going to be fairly nice. And look at this. Sticky Bomb is actually going to get targeted down at the end. This base has to die. Snoxtar, he took enough damage from that attack that didn't quite work out the way he would have liked it. This base absolutely has to die. So Shroudfall is going to go down. That means that wherever he goes, Weavers, if he builds those, they can rejoin in. But more importantly, it's just Shroud on top of everything. You make sure any effigies you drop are a little bit tankier. And again, these Spriggans are still doing oh god, that's a good Sticky Bomb. Aggressive Sticky Bomb comes in from Snoxtar, slows everything down. A big promotion goes down from this helicarrier. Is being mass repaired, trying to keep things alive. Albino, he was in a good spot. He held on against the first defense, but now look at this. Gaunts are shredding all the mobs on the low ground. Spriggans, though, starting to fall. And it looks like this position is not going to get broken, but the base will. The base is dead. And now we got 7 Gaunts and a Fiend on Harass. Gonna go try to take this north side base down. Where Albino, that is very important mining from him. He's not mining in the main base whatsoever. He's got some mining in the natural, but this should mine out fairly quickly. Snoxtar has a lot more money on the map. And this drop right here. Now, I don't like dropping the effigy before you drop the Harbinger. I think the play is you drop the Harbinger to get Shroud, then you drop an effigy and it's permanent. I think that probably is a better play. As it stands, this base is dead. Albino cannot respond to it in time. So he's got, okay, he's got these helicarriers, right? He's got this Hornet. He's got this Graven. It's a very powerful, high-tech army. But it's just small. That was the problem. Losing out on 2 bases this quickly is the problem. And actually, I'm not sure where he teleported back home, but I'm pretty sure. Okay, there's the Harbinger. Harbinger got out. Now, that is a long cooldown that he does not have access to, but Harbinger gets out, which means these 7 Gaunts, and I mean, the Fiend matters less, but the 7 Gaunts, they're able to go and join back part of this army. That's not supply that's going to get lost. But of course, Albino, when we take a look at this, his army is still very scary. We're looking at, what is this, 6 Graven, a couple helicarriers, a Hornet or 2 to deal with the Spriggans. This is still an army that can win fights. Absolutely. And especially when we look at this army, and a lot of Snoxtar's army are unupgraded brutes. There is no Soulforged Descendants. They don't get bonus armor. There's nothing to make the Fiends better when they split. This army is still very viable. Like, the supply for Snoxtar is not totally lying, but it is fibbing a little bit. You know, it is a politician. it's lying with the truth. Is maybe the way we talk about that. So for now, we're going to see Sticky Bomb not really get a lot done. Graven teleport forward. Sticky Bombs go down on a lot of this army. And that means these brutes are not going to really, they're not going to make contact whatsoever. That is a big, big deal. Now, 1 helicarrier will go down. Second one is going to get targeted down by a lot of this. Bombing runs do a great job on the backside, but now the helicarriers will start to fall from these Shadow Flyers. And the brutes, well, they still have not died. The target fire was not there. And Albino will lose game number 2. Snoxtar goes up 2-1 in this series. I am so happy that, oh, I'm sorry, this is wrong. There we go. I am so happy that we move into Boneyard on what is potentially a decider map, because Boneyard has given us some of the best, if not the best, games of Stormgate that we have seen. It is so good. I'm talking to Laser Percival during Stormgate Nexus. There are others. It's really, really good. So hopefully we're going to get another one. We do see the overcharged Bob pull into the natural. So Albino's going to go command post first in this game number 4. Snoxtar again up 2-1. So Snoxtar win this. He is in first place in our Stormgate Sundays number 6. This is, of course, a GSL group setup. So Albino is not out. He does have a chance to still take second in the final match of the day. This is where we are right now, though. So Albino takes the hiker, or it takes the command post first. He's going to probably build some barracks after that. We're going to have to see exactly how he decides to build out of this. And Snoxtar going 1-1. So he's getting a little bit aggro. Seneru, by the way, are you Senna? Are you Senna, the Discord mod? If so, hello. If not, also hello, but you know. Hello, but with feeling. Glad you're here. The same as Senna on Discord. So hello with feeling. Interesting. So this is going to be a very aggressive build from Snoxtar in this game number 4. He's got Ritual Chamber going down before his natural. And it's gonna be interesting to see how Albino can hold this. We saw a similar-ish idea on Titans, where it was a Magmadon. It was like a Magmadon Brute Gaunt timing that static defense and a relatively quickly timed quick draw hustle did a really nice job of. So the really big question, I wish I could press V. I wish I could see what player's vision is. I don't think that this has been scouted. I do not think that the Ritual Chamber has been scouted. I think certainly the Volt Conclave has been scouted, but you can go Volt Conclave expand too. It's just, you know, you slow yourself down a little bit. So Albino, but he is seeing this army move on to the other side of the map. That probably should be a tell. He's building 3 racks out of this. No biolab just yet. But if you have this 3 racks wall and you build a sentry post behind and like in the mineral line, in the luminite line, that is a very tough position to break. The problem is that you have to defend 2 spots. So sentry post is going to go down to the main base. Nothing in the natural just yet. Oh, interesting. Okay, so that's going to be more of a full wall here. He's going to build it in a position that ideally can shoot down onto the low ground and kind of hit things as they run around. And, well, Albino, he's going to have to survive on buzzsaw cannons because there is no natural on the way. We're going to have Plague Axes done in just a second, and this is a powerful timing. This is Snoxtar saying, I'm up 2-1 in this series. I got some room to play. Let's see what I can do. And yes, there's a sentry post here, but the Lancers are not here. They're in the natural. So here comes the attack. Effigy gets dropped down. Ideally, you just pull one Bob to kill this. Pull one Bob to kill this Effigy. It's so important, but the sentry post is going to go down right now. No biolab available, not just yet. So I mean, it'd be forever up until that. It would be forever until we'd see any sort of kinetic redirect. But now Bloodstock Cannon is there. And again, with this overcharge, these Bobs are not lasting all that long. We're going to see another Effigy. This one is 200, though. This one is nigh impossible to target down with the army that exists. But we're not seeing a lot of Fiend conversions just yet. The overcharge lasts for just about forever. But now there's an attack into the natural. And, you know, some of these Lancers are falling down. The first Buzzsaw does a very nice job. First Buzzsaw does a very nice job. And do we have a biolab? We do not. 3 Lancers on the way to time. That is the play. That is Albino's attempt to hold right now. As these Effigies, 200 HP. Like, if you had targeted the first one down with a single Bob, you would have been so happy. As it stands, you're not happy whatsoever. And behind this, again, there's no natural. Nothing like that. This is just full commitment coming on out. Not even a Greater Shrine, no Reaper Rush. It's just all about this stuff. And now there's no overcharge. So these, okay, there's no overcharge, but these Bobs are starting to go and get converted just off the splash. We need, I mean, you got to take a fight soon here. I think the Gaunt numbers are just getting way too strong. Luckily, there is a repair turret. So this base probably shouldn't die all that quickly. Now there's another sentry post. This Lancer just has to get inside. So Central Command is done. This gives you more HP, right? 2,500 versus 1,500 is a big deal. You can start to promote some of these Lancers. That matters quite a bit. In fact, double repair turret is a thing. So this really shouldn't die. Like, I'm looking at this army and it's like, okay, Albino, what are you waiting for? What is the play? How do you hold on to this? He's going to come in from the backside. He cannot waste DPS on these effigies. They're just not going to go down. It's 200 HP. Even though you do 20 damage a shot, that is 10 attacks on these effigies. The Buzzsaw turrets are doing what they can. There's no overcharge. So the Bobs are starting to fall. They're starting to get converted into Fiends, which is maybe not the end of the world from an army perspective, but it is the end of the world from an economic perspective. But we do have to point out that even as I say that, overcharge is here once again, and more importantly, this is double command post. He's building 2 workers at a time every 17 seconds. So he was actually able to go and mine, like, you're able to recover some of these economic losses. And we can see Albino here, the supplies are starting to go in his favor pretty significantly. This Buzzsaw turret, mass repaired on top of the overcharge, is doing so much, and more Lancers have started to arrive. I think this is a hold, actually. It looks so scary for Albino. It looks so very scary, but he's got another sentry post going down, and he's been mining fully saturated on this natural for the last forever. He's had this just available to him, so this Buzzsaw turret is just not dying. The second sentry post is not going to really happen all that much, but Lancers, as they pop out 3 at a time, they're just getting on top of these units. They're getting whittled down, and that's not great. But this army from Snoxtar is not nearly as scary as it was. Not nearly as scary as it was, and now we're going to see the Central Command get fully repaired. Two sentry posts available. We haven't really seen much of an attempt to go into the naturals. This is awkward. Trying to go get the health camp, and that's not going to work out all that well for you, bud. Somehow they got the slime got it. Oh wait, that's really cool. So look at what Snoxtar's doing. He's aggroing the slimes, so they then go and attack they then go and attack Albino. That's very cute. So the main base has been roughly defended. But the natural, though, that's a problem. I don't really see a lot of mining in the main base right now. There we go. These Bobs, by the way, are very heavily promoted, so they're a little bit tankier. This is a little bit awkward, right? Because now the push moves into the natural. There's only 1 sentry post. Now, Buzzsaw turret's nice, and, well, the Slimes are doing a pretty nice job of making things happen. I'm trying to get on top of this. The Lancers, they're just move commanded, though. Oh, God. Oh, that's not good. The Lancers had to take the fight. Instead, they just died. The Lancers had to take the fight, and they just died instead. There's a second Buzzsaw turret, but I don't know, guys. I thought Albino had a really good hold. I thought he had a really good hold. And 2 Buzzsaw turrets might still allow this to happen. Maybe. But losing that many Lancers like that is not really what you want. Although getting the health camp actually is really nice. Because it means everything's going to heal up just a little bit more. As this Buzzsaw turret in the main base has to get mass repaired. Do we have an overcharge? We do in the last second, but it's not going to matter. Luckily, there's a second one. So there is a second Buzzsaw turret. This one should not fall. Kinetic redirect is halfway done. And now with this healing camp here, we got Exos joining the fray. We need to see more Lancers getting in. Of course, Albino's really struggling to mine. Now we're starting to look at this timing, right? We're 11 to 12 in the main base. There's a world where this game goes to like 14 minutes and Snoxtar runs out of money. He just stops mining, which would be a wild time. So for now, we got one flat cannon. We got, the single exo. That was just for the flat cannon. We got kinetic redirects done soon. That's now the timing that Albino's waiting for. He's like, I need to be able to dive on top of these units. I need the bonus attack speed. I need the bonus damage. That is very important to me. So we're going to see the repair-matic go. It's going to go and work with these bobs to repair the central command so it doesn't go down. 2,500 HP is super relevant here. A kinetic redirect is going to be done in just about right now. Here comes Albino. This has to be the hold. So let's see how this goes down. There's no bubble. There's no promotion right at the time being. Oh, not a lot of power. Not a lot of power available. He's had to use overcharge quite often, but he's just going to run around the brutes. He doesn't want to fight those right now. It's getting on top of the gaunts, getting on top of the fiends, but luckily he can heal, and Snoxtar sees the upgrade. He's like, eventually I'm not going to make this happen. Eventually I am going to lose this fight. So Snoxtar taps out. He says GG. And in the upper bracket, in our winners match, we get to move to game number 5. Love to see it. So we've seen early game rushes that actually didn't work out. We've seen really cool late games. This has been an awesome series. Truly an awesome series between Snoxtar and Albino. And we knew this was going to happen. Albino is one of the best, if not the best, Vanguard players right now. Snoxtar has had some of the best of VVI across multiple patches. I don't know if he has the best IVV Infernal versus Vanguard win rate on the ladder right now. I don't know. You know, I don't know. But he's certainly up there. He is absolutely up there, and that means we've had some awesome games. So Snoxtar game 5, Albino game 5. This is going to be barracks opening. He's not going to go not going to go command post first. And interestingly enough, this was a vault opening, certainly, but we're seeing this double Luminite base get taken. And we talked about this in the theory series, where this base takes a long time to pay off for Infernals. It takes, like, yes, you can mine double Luminite, but A, there's only one Therium, so that's a problem. And B, it still takes quite a while to go and properly get, 24 workers on this thing. One of the benefits of going triple shrine is, well, you're able to build 3 imps at a time. And if you go take this base, it just takes a while. So let's see where exactly this thing decides to go. Albino, of course, expanding. We see Klempe saying, I want to see Hedgehog Lancer. Yeah. And yes, that is a Zenokun asking, is that a refresh thing? That is a refresh thing. That is kind of the refresh comp Hedgehog Lancer. It's kind of equivalent to Exo Lancer, right? Because you have the damage versus heavy from the hogs instead of the Exos. You still have the Lancers right there, damage versus light splash damage. But it's on the map a little bit faster. It's a little bit more mobile, but it doesn't have quite as much sustained damage as Exo Lancer does, because of course you fire your volley, you got to back up. Fire your volley, got to back up, because hedgehogs, they fire 4 shots and they have to go recharge. So it's a little bit different. It is a lot of pressure, but it doesn't quite have as much mid-game power probably as like Exo Lancer Medtech does. For now though, natural is done for Snoxtar. He's going to go start to slowly saturate that. Got a second shrine, and this one actually is only going to be for it's going to be for Therium first, and not going to be for Luminite, which again makes sense. You got double Luminite here, but you do want that second Therium patch. That is incredibly important. And I'm a little surprised that we actually don't see him go take this base and then go take the one a little bit more vertically forward that gives you double Therium. But I against the Lancer rally, or really just any sort of Vanguard rally, that can probably feel very hard to deal with. So not going to go for that, play a little bit more defensively for now, and that is how this game is really going off. We got Conclave done, of course. You do want that. We're going to Greater Shrine complete, so you have that really strong defensive power. And if you're playing greedy, which Snoxtar is, right? Quick third Shrine, he's taking the double Luminite setup. You really want to make sure you can manifest a Shroud Stone. That is super important to how you are playing. So, yep, that's where Snoxtar's going. Meanwhile, Albino, this kind of Lancer into Hornet idea that he's been having a lot of success with, that's where he's decided to go. With one map between him and moving on, or him and winning this group, here we go. You go Lancer Hornet. You have this power. You have a relatively quick transition into high command if that's what you want to do. You have really good harass options. Shroudstone actually getting manifested here is a pretty big deal because these Lancers, they're going to be able to get out. Certainly they don't have kinetic redirect. There's no biolab. You cut that for a while if you go Hornets like this. But, and this is a pretty important but here, it does mean that there's not going to be a Shroudstone manifest on the 3rd. So the Hornet is going to have an angle where it can get damage done. In fact, the Hornet's just going to sit on top of these units and look to get as much damage as possible. Oh, excuse me. Get as much damage done as possible, but his Morgants arrive, and it's not really going to work out for him all that well. He's going to have to back up. Even if it killed a Brood. I don't think Albino's super happy with kind of the Hornet reveal. Yeah, ideally, you're getting a little bit more than that. So, Albino? Do we have a biolab? We do not. We're only on single barracks. Single barracks, single hangar bay. He's going to go take the 3rd base, the double Luminite pretty soon. So, his economy is going to go pretty well. Pretty quickly. You know, we're going to be where we need to be. And then I'm assuming he's going to go bio. There's the biolab, yes. I was going to say, I'm assuming he's going to go bio. Percival likes playing mech a little bit, but I don't think Albino really kind of follows after Percival all that much. I don't think Percival's a very good player, but Percival is the only one that kind of plays this Vanguard mech style for the most part. It really is countered by Weavers too much. Weavers with, percentage damage against these tanky units, the lash, the stun. It is just way too strong. So Percival makes it work sometimes, but really this is not. It almost feels the point where it doesn't feel like that is something that Vanguard or that Infernals should really be losing to on ladder if you decide to go kind of like Vulcan Hedgehog or something. It's just Weavers are way too strong. Like Weaver Brute is just way too strong against that composition. So again, we're not seeing that. We're gonna have more barracks on the way. Biolab, kinetic redirect, should see quick draw hustle eventually. And Albino's economy, what is he building? 3 workers every 17 seconds is a great way to leapfrog forward. Because yes, technically that is just as much time as it takes to build imps. And that is true. But you got to spend imps to build Shroudstones and meat farms and shrines and literally everything that an Infernal player needs. So it's not really every 17 seconds. Averaged out, it's probably, I don't know what the number would be, maybe every 18 or 19 seconds, but Vanguard allowed to be on 3 command posts. Scales their economy faster than, maybe not faster than Celestials, because, man, the amount of collection arrays you can build, how quickly you can build them, that is very fast. But certainly it does scales faster than Infernals by a reasonable amount. For now, the 3rd base is done. We're building a lot of stuff out of these barracks. We got kinetic redirect, complete quick draw. Hustle should get started soon. And, well, y'all know the story. It's only central command. There's no high command at the moment. And these Hornets are just sharking around. What can they find? Maybe a rich Luminite setup. Maybe a rich Luminite camp. That's pretty fun. But this big attack is going to go... I guess he brought an imp with this. I don't know. I'm not sure how this was cut down. But regardless... Oh, Magmadon stomped through. There we go. So this is a bit of a problem. This attack coming from an angle that Albino did not expect. And that means this hangar bay is going to get taken down. Central command is not going to be able to turn into a high command really all that quickly. One of the benefits of opening Hornets like this, opening hangar bay like this, is you can get a high command on the way, but seems like Albino was quick enough on the last second. He got his high command getting started. That means Gravens are going to be on the field pretty soon. We did see a very nice job knocking down this Magmadon, and this pressure was annoying. And it did get the hangar bay. But it really didn't get that much. I don't think a lot of bombs went down. Really did not get that much more. So the energy camp, I really expect to see Snoxtar to take the camp, but I guess that would reveal that the camp was there, so we'll see. 4th base, though, done for Snoxtar. He's got Double Twilight on the way, so he's going to have an answer to the Hellborn eventually. He's going to have Spriggans. He's going to have Shadow Flyers. These are very important units to hold on to. And also Elder Shrine, right? That's the important thing. You want Twilights because, again, you do want answer to late game Vanguard Flyers, but also getting that Elder Shrine. Getting that, what is it, 7%? 8%? I forget what the number is. White health regen per second. Incredibly useful. Molten Touch. These tier 3 upgrades can be very valuable. Play Dragon as well. So he's going to be on the way. He's going to be on the way to that late game Elder Shrine pretty quickly. And, Albino, he's stabilized. He's got his hangar bay done. He's going to start to build helicarriers out of that. He's got exos on. I mean, he's building exos. Any Graven in production? Answer is no. So no Graven in production. He's gonna get, but helicarriers should get started soon. And also, equally as importantly, with high command, survival protocol, right? Mitigative guard. These things that make this bio army so much harder to kill. 246. I thought it was more like 357. Anyway. We are, what are we at right now? Let me give me a unit on. Oh wait, it shows on these. That's not 2%. There we go. Yeah, it is 246. Okay, I thought it's, for some reason I was thinking it's scaled. I play Infernal, I should know this, but yes, it is 246 for now though. Bit of an awkward flank coming in. I mean, we're gonna see a lot of these gaunts are gonna get taken down fairly quickly here. Fiends on the backside, they're distracting, sure, but I mean, this is a full surround coming on from Albino. He has to get on top of the Magmadons. Magmadons are so powerful in this setup because they're getting so much damage done. But it looks like the gaunts for the most part are going to go down. These Magmadon or these Hellborn, 250 Therium a pop are so expensive. And the mass repair means not a lot of these bobs are going down. Yes, you do want to cut away from the gaunts for the time being, but this push through the middle to try to take this fourth, or this, I guess, technically third and fourth going down. Well, yeah, that was a beautiful fight for Albino. He caught the army out of position, and now we're going to see this Hexen go down too. Looks like the one Hellborn from the backside was able to stay alive. Of course, Elder Shrine is done, but here is the question. Do we have a Hellforge? We do. Molten Touch is on the way. Okay, I was like, getting Hellborn. Hellborn are good. They're okay, but Hellborn need to have a Molten Touch. They are so much. It's funny because it's only it's an additional 21 damage, additional 7 damage per second with medtechs less than that, but it does make them feel so much more effective. So we're going to see a second Shroud Stone go down. This one's going to get manifested onto the backside here. Lancer's not quite at the front of this army, and we can see again just the power of this Molten Touch, just doing damage onto the entire army. The splash damage matters so much more in this setup. Nightfall's going to go down, catch a couple of these units, and without System Shock, no good way to really run away for the time being. I mean, they're going to trigger their things, but these medtechs will fall down. I'm still in this setup where I truly do believe that the fact that we do not see players get medtech mastery is kind of a mistake. I think that, I mean, System Shock has so much potential, and it just really is underutilized. For now, though, there's a Helicarrier. It does not quite have its bombers, though. So for now, Albino's only on 3 bases. Snoxtar's on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's on 6. He is pretty much every base. So the money is flowing in for Snoxtar, and now supplies are pretty even. And, you know, the quality of this army that Albino is building is very, very good. He's only on a single hangar bay, though. So this number of... That's always going to be really nice, getting Orbital Energy Optimizer. But this number of... the number of helicarriers that he's going to grow into is not increasing all that quickly. And do we have... Okay, so Mitigative Guard is here. We have Survival Protocol. I don't know if we have Nano Swarm. We may or we may not. It's hard to tell. But for right now, yeah, this I mean, maybe an opportunity here for a bombing run, but nah, you got to back up for the time being. And yes, the Molten Touch animations, they look really fun when they hit buildings. It's just this big, like, fiery swirl from the building. It's pretty cool. If we can see a reasonable run by. Again, you drop the effigy here because you want to go and make sure that every bomb that gets killed gets converted. So that run by, I don't know how much it gets done actually, because the army's right here and the helicarrier is going to be able to sit on top. And I mean, I'm trying to keep an eye on how many fiends get spawned, but it's really not a lot. So yep, there we go. That gets handled. I would like to see. I mean, we never see the sentry. We never see the scanner drone, which is a bit unfortunate because it's got a new model now. It's, you know, it's a little bit more polished, but high-level Vanguard players are always going to say, you know, the bubble is more useful, the overcharge is more useful, the promote is way more useful. So we don't see it, but I almost feel like I would kind of want to see an overcharge. I guess with a 4th base now, it's kind of okay, but I kind of feel like I want to see a sentry drone on the left side just because this run-by has been so effective. Yeah, instead of the fidget spinner scouting drone. Yep. Yes, it is a flat number damage though. It is 7 damage per second, I believe, Grimmy. but it generally is applied across the entire army. So it's like, it's effectively a second infest, a second dot like infest over the entire army, which is pretty useful. I mean, I don't know how you take this fight. It is a big concave coming in. Shroudfall, you got to assume Shroudfall is going to get dropped for this one. There we go. It's a little late, but the splits are so good for Snoxtar. This bombing run accomplishes nothing. And again, with the Shroudfall, retreating off Shroud, it does not exist. And, I mean, just look at this. We were going to see a Magmadon run forward. Doesn't have any upgrades, but that's just going to be fine. It just does damage. It doesn't even have to stun. It just does damage. And Albino realized that there is no way he can take this fight. Opting into that thing was madness. That means Snoxtar is going to win our group. The fill-in is going to win the group 3-2 over Albino. Takes down Nina roughly. Again, that was a little awkward, but takes down Albino 3-2. Plays an awesome series. And Snoxtar, first place in the Stormgate Sunday this week. Really cool game.